All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video today. I am here in the studio of WIOP Radio in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, and I am talking to Brother Jerry Sexton with Bearing Precious Seed, and we are going to talk about the importance of Christian music and why this is something that should be such a part of your life. And Brother Jerry, thank you for coming on today.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
Amen. Well, good. Well, thank you so much, and you're up there in Cincinnati, quarantined right now, and we're down here in Kentucky. And so,
yeah.
But, why don't you just, let's talk about Christian music and why that matters. And, why don't you just give us just a basic philosophy of Christian music and why this is such a big deal. And a lot of people out there believe that it's just all subjective. It's just whatever preference you have. It's all good as long as it's done in the name of God. But I think I think there's more to it than that. And so why don't you just go ahead and give us your philosophy of Christian music, what you believe about that?
Okay, well, that's a broad, really a broad topic. There's a whole bunch of different areas that we could probably discuss. I do believe that one of the greatest detriments to Christianity as a whole, especially in my generation, is the philosophy and the thought that came from the Southern Gospel world, really through one individual, but that says that music is neutral.
Yeah, I think I know who that name is. And
music is anything but neutral.
Sure.
Matter of fact, the only people that actually believe that there's any validity to that are naive Christians, because the entire secular world exist using music knowing that it isn't neutral, and they use it to promote or to produce a certain emotional response.
Yes.
Advertising uses particular jingles. There's you could even look in the book of in the Bible where you have an example. One of the earliest references that we have of King David was not really focused upon him, but it was about King Saul. Mm-hmm. And it says of King Saul that when his spirit was troubled, that he would notify David, have David come in, and he would play music. We have a whole music industry of easy listening music, if you want to call it that, or elevator music, as it's often referred to, or it used to be often referred to. I don't know what they call it now. Everything's being redefined.
Yeah.
But there's what I'm getting at is there's a whole thing. If you want to calm and relax, there's music for that. You listen to every college fight song in the world. It's not easy listening. Mm-hmm. There's some kind of a drive, and there's all kinds of video footage and of interviews of musicians when you get into the rock world talking about watching the response of the masses of people that are listening there based upon the tempo, and when you're hearing these songs and what it does to your adrenaline and attacking your adrenal gland and get you pumped up and ready to roll and stuff. And music is anything but neutral. Music has an emotional response. That is why the Apostle Paul, when giving instruction to the Christians in the churches, Apostle Paul was talking about that we're supposed to, in addition to all the other things that we do with fellowship with one another, the Bible talks about speaking to yourselves with songs and hymns and spiritual songs. Now, you can say what you want, but there's three different designations there that we could classify as different types of genres, if you will, of music. Songs, hymns, spiritual songs. Every song doesn't necessarily have to be a hymn. Just because it's not a hymn doesn't make it wrong. Right. But there are some things that does make it wrong. And if there is something that I do, whether it be a controlled substance or it's one of our biggest problems with most people is our eating. If there's something
wait a minute, Brother Jerry. Yeah. You can't say that.
I know, but it's the principle. If there's something that I'm doing that is a detriment or damaging my body, which is the temple of the Holy Spirit, then there's wrong there. Well, music can actually produce that same thing. We can prove that. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. But my philosophy with music is this. There is, you know as well as I do, how often have you been hurting and you heard a song and it touched you?
Yes.
You can be grieving and hear a song and it be a source of encouragement. Sometimes you could even be looking for direction, and God can use a song to touch you and to speak to you and to move you. Music is a motivator. Music is an emotional cleanser sometimes, and that's why the word that's used is ministering to yourselves. The music will have an effect on us personally, and on our body, and on our emotion, and on our spirit. I know for me personally, I can go into some places, and just the music alone, it produces an entirely different spirit in me. Makes me have a different attitude. Makes me, some of it, I know when, this is terrible, but I remember as a teenager when we would go to different places where there were teen hangouts and things, and there's end up being fights and stuff all over the place. Every time, without fail, there was always people synchronizing the radio stations, and it was the same driving music playing. And it kind of produces, it makes you have a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is music has an emotional response, and the music has an effect. Now, if the music does, then the truth of the matter is really the lyrics make no difference. I could say put Amazing Grace to the wrong kind of music, and it still produced the wrong response in my body.
Yes.
So if music has an effect, then the whole world of Christian rock is an oxymoron. That doesn't even make sense. There cannot be one. That's like Christian adultery. You can't have it. If one thing is in and of itself wrong, just because I put another name to it doesn't change that. And
sure.
So where I think where one of the things that is causing and leading into and help ushering in this great falling away that the Bible tells us there's going to be is the whole world of we have introduced everything secular into our what we want to call our church services. Now they've even redefined them where they're worship services. And what takes place is anything but worship.
Right.
And because it produces an emotional response and people waving and jamming, can I tell you that you know this? You can watch the typical what is called praise and worship service. If you can see a video footage of that, you can also flip back and watch any Journey concert or Chicago concert from the 80s, and you'll see the exact same response of the people. Right. Why? Because it's the music affecting the thing. It has nothing to do with lyrics. It's an adrenaline thing. It's your body responding to what it's being subjected to. So where I think we've lost it is there is a biblical role of music in the life of a believer. It will affect our spirit. It will affect our countenance. The old adage is garbage in, garbage out.
Sure.
If I know as an individual, if I know I can listen to some things and it makes me have a critical spirit, or it makes me respond wrongly to my wife, or it puts a chip on my shoulder, then I as a Christian, I need to avoid that.
Sure.
But what happens is when we allow ourselves to bring that kind of stuff into a service, music in a service, I'm pretty square in this. The role of music in a service is supposed to be preparing the heart for the message.
Right.
That's the role of music in a service. So every hymn, every song that's sung, it should be preparing the heart to get ready for the message, because the primary thing in that service is the preaching of the Word of God. God chose the foolishness of preaching to move men's hearts. So when we allow other things to come into play with that, then what we're doing is we're not preparing the heart for the message. And as a result, when our heart isn't ready for the message, 9 times out of 10, we're not going to receive it.
Right.
So music is a huge factor, whether it be good or bad. Music has a huge impact on a service.
Sure.
As far as a general philosophy of music, I guess you could. My philosophy in a nutshell is I've got to eliminate anything that causes me to think or respond in a non-Christian way.
Sure.
I want things that feed me.
Yeah.
I want things that help me to have the joy of the Lord, that help me have a peace in my life. Because I don't like biting my wife's head off over little things. I don't like being at odds with the people that are around me and having that chip on my shoulder.
You don't love that? Because a lot of Christians apparently love that. You know?
Well, you're exactly right. There's a whole. Well, that's another issue. So I know for me personally, in the application of ministering to myself in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, I know that I can, if I keep my mind occupied with the right kind of song throughout the day, it can help me to have the right focus throughout the day. If I can keep the right song in my mind, it can help me have the right spirit. It can help me have the right focus. Right. That's our family. We just had, it was awesome Sunday night. We had the opportunity, because of this Corona thing, I was in town, Shannon and Tyler were in town, and Crystal and her husband were able to be with us instead of running the sound in their church. And we were able to do an hour concert, and then I preach for an outdoor service up here in town together. We haven't got to do that in a long time. But I know for me, with my family being so musical, with my dad, his whole background being music, everyone just assumed that I could, and I don't sing. But the truth of the matter is, I probably sing more than all of them combined, just not publicly.
Yeah. Because
I know for me, when I get up, I got to constantly keep a song in my heart and a song in my mind, because I want to walk circumspectly, and I want to make sure that I keep my mind on the things of God and the things that I need to focus on, and not other stuff. And for me, and this is a personal confession, if you will, but I've got too much garbage in my head. If I'm not occupying and controlling my mind, that Satan will make sure he brings that stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. So because I don't want that, I can control what I put in. And that's where the psalms and hymns and spiritual songs comes in. I do believe that's why Christian radio is so effective. If you can play the right kind of music and have that going, you can literally occupy your mind and keep your mind. Jesus talks about and the Bible talks about the things that we're supposed to think upon. Well, if we're hearing songs about those themes, it helps us to think about those things.
Sure.
If I'm hearing songs, we pick a genre. Country, I guess country music is an easy one to pick on, because it's usually either drinking or running around or some kind of a immoral thing that their themes are about. Well, if that's what I'm listening to, then my mind is going to be thinking about that stuff, whether I want it to or not. That's what my mind's going to be thinking about. Music is like a good book. It will paint a picture in our head. A song that moves you is a song that you can relate to. If you can't relate to it, it's not going to move you.
Sure.
Well, the way we relate to it is we can picture ourselves in that. We can see it happen. Well, that's occupying our mind. If I want my mind to think on things that are just and things that are pure and that are a good report and things of virtue and things of praise, if I want to think on that, then that's what I got to be listening to as well. Things that will trigger my mind that way. I know for me personally, I cannot be around and subjected to certain genres and elements of music and still maintain that in my own life. Mm-hmm. And I know this to be true. If that's true with me spiritually, and if that was true with King Saul in the Old Testament, and if it was enough that the Apostle Paul was having to tell the Christians in the early church that they had to focus on psalms and hymns and spiritual songs for their spirit, I'm pretty sure it's probably true with Christians today too. We just don't want to accept it.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, you don't even have to prove this point with any Bible truth. I mean, just logic itself and just even secular examples show you that. I mean, they don't play screeching death metal music in elevators.
No, they don't.
Okay, they don't play that in waiting rooms. And when you go to the gym, they're not playing elevator music in the gym. They're playing some uppity pop rock music to kind of get you moving.
Well, when I worked at Frisch's, back when I was in high school, there was one set radio thing that they would play. But the evening music was always faster tempo than the morning. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that was, and you could ask the manager, the reason for that was they wanted people to move in and out quicker through the evenings.
Yes.
That was their biggest time of a busy traffic of customers. Mm-hmm. And again, the only people that I have ever heard dispute the impact that music has on the emotional impact and the adrenal impact of the human body are Christians that want to listen to stuff that they probably shouldn't be listening to.
Oh boy. Well, another example of that, Brother Jerry, when I was in Bible college, I worked at Dillard's, and there was a clothing store, and I noticed that they played all this romance music all the time. And and I noticed, and I got to thinking, that when that creates a sentimentality. When you get sentimental, you spend more money. And I noticed that there was one thing they tried for 3 days. They tried to play like those like some Jamaican type music or something like that. Where they hit those little those steel drums.
Yeah.
And they played that for 3 days and drove everybody nuts. But I noticed that they quit doing it because the sales numbers dropped when they played that music. And so they went back to the romance music. And so I've always known that, okay, the type of music you listen to creates a certain response. And even back when I was in high school at public school, you could tell the moral character of a person by the type of music they listened to.
Exactly right.
If you listen to rap music, you probably had a strong proclivity to be a certain way versus a guy who listened to country music. And if you listen to Prince, you were probably a certain way too. And so we knew what you were like by the type of music you listened to. So this stuff's not neutral. It's not amoral, or it's not. It's just not. It's kind of like. Someone said, there is no such thing as a moral F sharp or an immoral F sharp. Well, of course not. But you can take them, put them together, and you can make something moral or immoral, kind of like the letters of an alphabet. The letter X is not moral or immoral, but you can take the letters of the alphabet and put something together that is moral or immoral.
Yeah. No, you can watch. We can watch guitar tutorials and guys that are teaching you how to play different notes and different things like that. I saw one a few weeks ago, and the guy was talking about the difference of major notes and minor notes. Mm-hmm. And he was just talking about how to get used to playing scales, recognizing scales on a guitar, and being able to. He's talking about for a lead guitar, knowing your scales, because that's how you do your run-ins and different things like that. But he was the way he described it was, he was saying, "Watch this," and he hit a major C, or major, I forget what chord he hit, but he said this one's happy, and he was happy. It's a happy note, and then he went to the minor, and he said it's an evil note, and it's you hear the it's like the I forget what he described. You hear like the villain going through, and it's the. And that's the way he was describing the different notes. And what he was saying was, one affects your spirits, makes it bubbly, and one of them doesn't. So, a note can do that. Why? Because music affects your body.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean you can't have minor notes in a song, but you need to acknowledge music does matter.
Yes.
Music does have an effect.
Yes. Well, I remember,
again,
Jerry, when I was a little boy, I'd watch TV. I'd stay up late and watch TV, and a lot of them scary movies would come on TV. And I noticed something that if I got to where I was just too scared, I would hit the mute button on the TV. I wouldn't change the channel, I'd hit the mute button. And that helped me tremendously because I could actually watch it.
Suspense, yeah. Movies wouldn't be very suspenseful if you didn't have the music to them.
Correct.
Yeah,
and that was a big part of it.
Exactly right. Why? Because music has an emotional effect on your body. It just does, and the whole industry is based upon that. Mm-hmm. And again, the only people that don't think that it does are
carnal Christians.
Literally.
Right.
I'm not trying to be attacking or anything. That's just a fact.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so I'm a stickler on when it comes time for a service. When it comes time for a church service, every aspect of it, every congregational. Everything matters. Just getting up and picking a number, man, you are greatly limiting what the impact that those people are going to get something in a service. Mm-hmm. These guys that are just there's no preparation, there's no thought, there's no prayer. They're just walking up. Anybody got a song you want to sing? Well. Mm-hmm. There's a time for that, but man, if that's every time, my philosophy. You asked about my philosophy. My philosophy in music is very simple. When it comes time for a service, you better be prayed up. Every song you sing better be prayed over, because God knows what He's wanting to share. God knows what that man of God's going to preach. He knows what the word is going to be expounded upon, and He knows what those people need to prepare their heart for it. So God will direct through music, and we can sing the right songs. One of the reasons we were extremely blessed as a family to see God do some amazing things in services through song. And the honest truth is, I told our girls so many times, the honest truth is it's not because of how well the songs were performed. It's because it was the right song for the right time. Mm-hmm. And God can use a song. So in a service, every congregational is important. Everything ought to be building to get ready for the message. Right. The specials should not be random. They should, everything in there should be designed through prayer to prepare the heart for the message. Mm-hmm. And when we can effectively do that, then we as earthen vessels are doing everything in our power to make sure that we are not a stumbling block in any way, that we are vessels that God can use to administer grace to a hearer, and we're doing what we can do. The terminology in the Bible is sanctify yourselves, where we are literally trying our best to separate ourselves, getting ready for God to speak to our heart, making ourselves open, and asking God, speak to my heart and give me what I need.
You know, and what you just said is a spiritual concept, and that is something that you cannot do in the flesh. And so carnal people, for them, it's much easier just to put a drum set in there than just to do what you just said.
Oh, well, it is, and it will produce an emotional response. Mm-hmm. So people will walk away, and man, they're excited. They feel like they're doing something.
Yeah.
But they're not getting their spirit fed. They're getting something, but they're not getting their spirit fed. I promise you this, there has never been anybody who went to a Beatles concert that didn't walk away with something.
Sure.
But it wasn't their spirit being fed.
Yeah, and see, this is what I've always likened it to. Okay, you can take a dirty man and spray perfume all over him. He'll smell good, but he's not clean.
Right.
And that's what a lot of these works of the flesh that are called music today, and that's what they are, just works of the flesh. Yeah. That's what it does. It gives you a lift, it gives you a boost, and you have a scent on you, but you're not clean.
Exactly right.
And so, can you imagine how dirty you would be if you never took a bath for a year? You just sprayed extra perfume on every time.
Oh,
You smell good, but you're dirty.
Exactly right.
And that's the issue with this stuff. It takes it. You have to walk with God and be spiritual.
Here's the thing too. We've all been around people that did that, where they've tried to cover up stink with perfume.
Yeah.
They think that they're smelling good because they smell the perfume. Everybody around them, they're not disguising much.
Yeah.
Because it's still foul.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, the only people that we're fooling is ourselves.
Wow.
Because we're not making a difference. We're not reaching a society with Christ. We're just not. And
Sure.
it's sad, and I do believe a large portion of the falling away that literally we're living, it has been ushered in through music.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I kind of liken it to Uzzah and the Israelites trying to bring the Ark of the Covenant back to Israel. When they were transporting the Ark with the Philistines' method, they were transporting it on a new cart. They were instead of it being carried by the priests that were supposed to be carrying it, they were trying to do a good work the world's way, and it cost people their lives. And that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Right.
We can call it worship all we want to. Just because we put a name on it doesn't make it true.
Sure. And none of the people that are involved in this have ill intentions. They're not nefarious people. They mean well. But the right thing done the wrong way, the right thing done outside of the order that God gives, it becomes destructive.
Exactly right. You know what? That really is the whole premise of why Bearing Precious Seed got started. Because there was a particular, God's plan from the beginning was always His people. The phrase is holy hands handling the holy. A particular people group, the Kohathite priests, God's people were the ones that were given the responsibility of caring for and the handling and the preservation and even the publication of the Word of God. Not secular publishing houses, not communist China, who is the leading producer of Bibles in all the world. That's not who it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be God's people, and it done a certain way. That same concept is what we're seeing my generation of Christians completely forsake.
Sure. And I agree with you on that, and I think that's what we should do. I think also with music, I think we've done the same thing. We've subcontracted our worship out to secular record labels who don't know God, don't care about God's holiness. They just care about what sells, and churches have gone for it because the desire for money and fame is just a quick road to that, and that's a cheap substitute for letting God use you. And that's one of the things I get if I criticize a false teacher or something like that. They always say his ministry is so much bigger than yours, and that doesn't mean anything as far as if you're. I mean, like, let's just take Hillsong or Bethel or whatever, some way out there thing. I mean, I know that they sell billions of dollars of records. I get that, but that doesn't mean God's using them. Okay.
Well, I remember an account in Scripture where the Bible talks about two different groups of people going a direction, and the one with the large group of people is not going the narrow way. They're going the broad way.
Yeah, there's something like that in the Bible.
Yeah, I think there is. There is. I remember hearing something about that in between guys blowing at the screen and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, when we allow the world to dictate to us what holiness is, we're done.
Wow.
Whether that be, let's send out a questionnaire and poll the worldly community and ask them what they want in a church, and then try modeling our church, or if it is we watch that kind of nonsense and then pattern ourselves after that, the end result's the same. We literally, in Christianity as a whole, we have accepted secular humanists to the core. and that is we believe the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
That and the honest truth is that doesn't fly.
No, it certainly doesn't, and that pragmatism is caused everything to be subjective, and now it's not black and white anymore. Everything's just a big shade of gray.
Well,
and,
that's what happens when you remove the final authority. That's why the attack on the Bible has been so essential for the falling away. Because I mean, everything that we're talking about is based upon principles that I've seen in our King James Bible. Very clear. But if you remove that, all it is my opinion versus anybody else's.
Yeah, yeah. And so, see, when it gets to that point where it's just everybody's opinion, then you can say, well, we need to quit being ridiculous and set aside our differences and all come together.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It all goes together. It really does. And I believe, again, this is my opinion, my philosophy, I believe a huge portion of that was the decline in proper music.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Brother Jerry, and that's where it started. I think it started in the with Elvis Presley in the 1950s and Larry Norman, and then that whole Jesus culture took precedence, and then we've seen a steady. I mean, even in American culture, the drug culture of the 60s was preceded by the falling away of Christian music in the 1950s, and so I think that all the problems in the world are a side effect of the problems in the church. All the political problems are a side effect of the spiritual problems of the local church.
Sure.
And I think that's what's happened, Brother Jerry. I think you're 100% right.
But we've ceased and walked away from the whole concept of the church is supposed to change a culture to where we have accepted the culture in the church.
Wow.
And that's why we're literally the things that we're seeing in my generation of Christianity. I would have never dreamed in a million years that we'd be living it. I cannot imagine if the Lord doesn't come back before then. I cannot imagine what my grandkids are going to grow up with.
Well, I mean, we've got Christian beer, we've got Christian rock and roll, we've got Christian nightclubs, and we even have Christian witches now, Brother Jerry. Did you know that?
Oh, wow. That goes back to the oxymoron thing that we were talking about before. That's impossible. That's like a dark, bright room or a bright, dark room. You can't have both.
Yeah.
You either have one or the other. Could that be why the Lord said we either serve God or mammon? You don't serve both. He wants us to be hot or cold. Not lukewarm. You can't be both at the same time. Sure.
Right. And they try to be in one foot in the world, one foot out of the world. The Laodicean, the hot and the cold, and trying to be both. And the way Vance Havner said it, just trying to be neither nor in a world that's either or, and trying to live in the middle of the road. And I think that's a dangerous place to walk. It's a dangerous place to drive. It certainly is a dangerous place to live, and that's where they want to be. That's where they're comfortable.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. So again, what you guys are doing with trying to provide good music for people to listen to, I'll say it again. I know for me personally, just what I've had to try to live by. From the time I get up, I've got a song in my head. I'm constantly singing something because I want to occupy my thoughts. I want to keep my thoughts in subjection. I don't want to be thinking things that I shouldn't be thinking. And so to do that, I've got to, on purpose, make myself do what I need to do. Somebody once said, an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's exactly true. And so as a Christian, music has a huge influence on that.
Right, and that's what we're trying to do. WIOP Radio. We have,
Yeah.
we're local here, of course, but we also have the app, and people can download that. Go to the Google Play Store or to the App Store on your iPhone or whatever you have, and it works on your tablets and that kind of stuff. I even had somebody email me the other day said that it works on his Amazon Echo, and so that's a blessing. But folks who are listening, you can go download the app WIOP Radio, and the logo looks something like what we got right here on one of our stickers, and you can check that out, and that will be great. At WIOP Radio 106.3 FM. And we have those stickers here. We're going to actually get some more of these, but that's what it looks like. You can get that on your smartphone and on your tablet and listen to that and listen to Christ-honoring music where Christ is the theme. Christ is gets all the credit and that kind of stuff. And it's actually church music made by church people. And so that's what we're trying to get out there.
Sure.
And so Brother Jerry's family is on there. How many CDs did you guys do, Brother Jerry?
I believe 8.
8 CDs. Well, I can't wait for your number 9 acapella solo CD you got coming out.
Yeah, well, I may do that DVD version.
Okay.
You miss some of it. If you can't see the dynamics in my theatrics, then you're really not getting the whole Jerry Sexton experience.
Yeah. Well, we need that. We need that for sure. So
we do.
Oh, praise the Lord. Well, folks, 502-531-0534 is the number. We have that there on the screen for you guys, and we certainly do appreciate you guys watching. And Brother Jerry, I think we've done about 30 minutes here, and I'm going to go ahead and jump off here. But you have any final words of wisdom for the folks about music or anything like that?
No, sir. Hey, just if we want to be serious about experiencing life more abundantly, that Jesus said He gave His life to make possible to us, it starts with controlling our mind. And one huge aspect of that is we've got to guard what we put in it. Whether that's through our eye gate, our ears, what we hear, and music can greatly affect our walk with God. It can greatly affect our spirit, which in turn will touch and impact every relationship we have. If I've got a critical spirit, people aren't going to want to be around me. But if I have a loving spirit, and I can administer grace to the hearer, and I can be a help to people. And it starts with my spirit, and music has a big part of that. And but if I want God to use me, I've got to take it serious.
Good. Praise the Lord, brother. All right, we're going to jump off here. Thank you, folks, for watching here on our live stream at WIOP Radio on our Facebook page, and we appreciate you guys so very much. And give us a call, 502-531-0534. Thank you, Brother Jerry.
Yes, sir.